Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. I'm Hidayah binti Harun and I would like to present my paper entitled Socio-Economic Determinant of Crime in Malaysia, a Conceptual Framework. So this is my outline of presentation. Before we discuss further on this paper, let me define first what is the definition of a socio-economic status index and a crime index in Malaysia. A socio-economic status index is defined as a total measure of the social and economic standing of an individual or area that involves a combination of many variables that capture living standard. Meanwhile, crime index in Malaysia will be used to refer to the crime cases that are reported with sufficient regularity and with sufficient significance to be meaningful as index to the crime situation. This means a regular or common crime cases that has been reported to the police only will be counted as a crime index. In case of Malaysia, property crime and violent crime are under this category. So refer to this figure, we can see that the property crime index always surpassed the violent crime index. Starting from the 1982 until 2017, we can see that there is a fluctuating trend of the crime index in Malaysia. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development explicitly affirmed that there can be no sustainable development without peace and no peace without sustainable development. So, this 17th goal of SDG can be achieved by the year 2030 if public safety is always a priority in any development plan. Therefore, a strong economic condition such as a better economic growth will result in lower employment rate and give more opportunities for people to earn legitimate income. However, a good economic condition must be combined with improvement in social condition such as criminal activities must be lessened and thus improving well-being of society. So, cause of crime are unquestionable. This is because crime can have repercussions for societies. For example, they have to suffer loss of property and even life, and crime also can plunge them into abject misery. Thus, there are many studies on the various factors that influence criminal activities are well versed. This indicates that investigation of a criminal behavior is a complex phenomenon. So among these factors, the contribution of the socio-economic factors to criminal behavior is among the important determinants explaining criminal behavior. So, in numerous studies on economic factors on crime, employment and economic conditions are regarded as important macroeconomic variables affecting crime. However, the findings on these factors on crime are mixed. In Malaysia, economists that attempt to examine the determinant of crime are found very few in number. Besides, their research still lags. It doesn't look into the number of female labour force participation as the potential determinant of crime. So, there are two commonly used criminal theories for determining the relationship between the socio-economic factors and crime rate. These theories are criminal motivation theory and criminal opportunity theory. So, according to Becker 1968, it's predicted that property crime increased during economic difficulty, which reflects the criminal motivation theory. But there's also a tendency for this type of crime to decline due to the less opportunity for criminal, as argued by Cantor and Land 1985, Gordon and Felsen 1979. Meanwhile, violent crime also takes place in areas where there are high population densities, switch changes in social environment, and poor living conditions. Thus, criminal opportunity theory argued that a motivated offender, a suitable victim, and opportunity for criminal must be converged. To rectify this ambiguous finding, Cantor and Land 1985 had developed a model of unemployment crime that integrated both of this theory. So, refer to this figure, we can see that the unemployment rate can influence crime rate positively and negatively. According to the criminal motivation theory, unemployment rate will positively affect the crime rate. In contrast, the criminal opportunity theory shows that unemployment rate will negatively related to the crime rate. Therefore, based on the model just now, this paper come out with the proposed conceptual framework, and the selected variable also based on the previous studies. this conceptual framework has extended the crime model by Cantor and Land, which proposed the criminal motivation effect and also the criminal opportunity effect. So we can see here, Cantor and Land argue that opportunity effect has a present effect, or we call it a contemporaneous effect. Meanwhile, the criminal motivation theory has give impact on the system activity effect. It indicates that criminal motivation exists in the long run, since it may take some time for individuals to commit crime after facing economic adversity. Therefore, for the criminal motivation theory, you can see that employment is positively related to the crime, but the criminal opportunity theory indicates that employment is negatively related with the crime. Then, income. The effect of income on the criminal activities can be viewed into two effects. As in, the good state of the economic condition ensures legal income opportunity to increase, then the time allocation trade-off predict that the crime become lesser. So this can be shown from the criminal motivation theory. Conversely, criminal opportunity theory argued that as income increase, there will be more good to be stolen. That's why income is positively related with the crime. Moreover, Tang 2009 testified that inflation must be included in the employment crime specification model, so as the misspecification problem can be avoided when using it as policy instrument to reduce the crime rate in Malaysia. Inflation is believed as one of the factors that could affect the purchasing power. During inflationary period, the purchasing power decreased. Difficulty in living to purchase necessity goods tend to inflict a strain to the public. This will induce them to commit the crime. Therefore, inflation is positively related to the crime. Apart from the economic variable, social variable cannot be neglected. Therefore, the education and female labor force is expected to have a relationship with the crime. According to Longshner and Mority, there are several external effects on education of crime. The first effect is civic externality, which allows an individual with higher education level refuse to accept the execution of the crime. Second, pecuniary externality leads to increased passion and risk aversion, thus lowering typical violent and property crime. Generally, we would therefore expect a negative relationship between the educational attainment and crime. Another important social variable to determine crime is female labor force. Female can be seen as a suitable target for victimization or as provider for criminal opportunity because of their vulnerability. Ronison and Mulder 2014 argued that females are generally viewed as a passive victim or a lack of guardianship, such as unlikely to carry a weapon and put up much of the physical fight, thus easily being a criminal target. Therefore, we can see that female labor force is positively related with the crime. However, today, due to the changes in the socio-economic status, females are considered as a catalyst for economic growth and development. Therefore, it is suggesting that increasing economic growth, reducing poverty and unemployment level, coping with high cost of living, accessing better education can prevent crime. Then it's remarkable that female labor force participation is the primary key to the solution. Therefore, it's expected that female labor force is negatively related with the crime. So as conclusion, this conceptual paper set out to shine new light on crime studies by identifying the potential socio-economic determinant of crime in Malaysia. However, further studies are in need to prove this conceptual framework empirically. It's hoped that this future finding offers some important insight into socio-economic determinant of crime, particularly on the new social variable chosen, total number of labor force with tertiary education, and female labor force participation in Malaysia. Thank you.